Some people feel an immediate sense of disconnection when conversation stays light, not because they lack warmth or social intelligence, but because something in them keeps listening for meaning that never arrives. Talking about weather, schedules, or polite updates can feel like movement without direction, as if attention is being asked to stay active while nothing essential is allowed to appear. This reaction is often misunderstood as arrogance, boredom, or emotional distance. In reality, it usually reflects a different relationship with attention and connection. For these individuals, conversation is not a social reflex, but a point of contact. When interaction remains on the surface, the mind doesn't relax. It hovers, waiting. This isn't about being introverted or superior. It's about why certain people feel more drained by small talk than by silence, and what their discomfort is quietly pointing toward beneath the words. Sensitivity to meaning over social ritual. Some people don't reject small talk because it's casual. They reject it because it feels detached from meaning. Ritualized exchanges exist to signal safety, politeness, or belonging. But for these individuals, the signal itself already feels understood. Repeating it out loud feels redundant, like narrating something that doesn't need words. Where others experience small talk as a warm-up, they experience it as a loop that never opens. Attention stays alert, waiting for substance, while the conversation keeps circling what everyone already knows. The discomfort isn't impatience, it's the strain of staying present in something that offers no depth to rest in. This sensitivity often gets mistaken for judgment. In reality, it's a low tolerance for interactions that ask for energy without offering meaning in return. Cognitive drain from surface-level exchange. Small talk requires a specific kind of mental effort. Tracking tone, responding on time, appearing engaged, and maintaining social rhythm all happen simultaneously, even when the content itself is thin. For some minds, that imbalance is exhausting. The work outweighs the substance. While others glide through these exchanges automatically, these individuals remain consciously aware of the process. Their attention doesn't drift comfortably. It stays active, monitoring a conversation that doesn't deepen enough to absorb it. Over time, this creates fatigue that feels out of proportion to how little was said. What drains them is not people, but the mismatch between cognitive effort and emotional return. When nothing meaningful lands, the system feels overused rather than connected. Internal depth and slower processing rhythms. People who dislike small talk often process internally before they speak. Thoughts move in layers, not bursts. Meaning forms through reflection, pattern, and quiet integration rather than immediate reaction. Fast, surface-level conversation interrupts this rhythm. Small talk moves quickly and expects instant responses. For slower processors, this creates a subtle pressure to compress thought before it's ready. Words come out thinner than the inner experience, which can feel disorienting or unsatisfying. They are not slow thinkers, they are deep ones. And when conversation never slows down enough to meet that depth, silence can feel more honest than speaking at all. Discomfort with performative social roles. Small talk often asks for a version of the self that is slightly performed. Smiles are timed, reactions are softened, interest is signaled, whether it's felt or not. For many people, this performance is light and unconscious. For others, it feels intrusive, like being asked to step out of alignment for the sake of smoothness. These individuals are not rejecting politeness. They are resisting the subtle demand to be legible before being real. When conversation prioritizes appearance over presence, the body tightens. What feels uncomfortable is not the other person, but the quiet pressure to maintain a role instead of remaining internally honest. In that state, disengagement becomes a form of self-protection, not indifference. Preference for coherent, truth-oriented connection. People who dislike small talk often orient toward coherence. They feel most connected when words point towards something real, an insight, attention, a question that hasn't settled yet. Conversation becomes meaningful when it aligns inner experience with shared reality. Surface exchange disrupts this alignment. Topics shift before meaning forms, and connection feels fragmented rather than built.
I'm not sure yet.
The mind stays open, but nothing gathers. Over time, this creates a sense of relational hunger, even while talking continues. They are not demanding intensity, they are waiting for congruence. When it appears, even briefly, their engagement deepens instantly. Nervous system regulation and stimulation thresholds. Small talk carries a steady stream of low-level stimulation. Multiple cues, quick responses, social timing, and background noise all arrive at once. For some nervous systems, this level of input is neutral. For others, it accumulates quietly until regulation begins to slip. Depth slows things down. It reduces the number of signals while increasing their relevance. This allows attention to settle instead of scatter. Small talk does the opposite. It keeps the system alert without offering resolution, creating tension without release. The aversion is not psychological preference alone. It is the body signaling that this kind of interaction costs more than it gives. Identity alignment and resistance to inauthentic interaction. For people who dislike small talk, identity tends to be internally anchored. They experience themselves as continuous from the inside, not as something shaped moment by moment through social exchange. When conversation asks them to present a version of themselves that doesn't match that inner state, even slightly, friction appears. Small talk often requires adjustment without purpose. Tone is softened, interest is implied, and reactions are offered to maintain flow rather than truth. Over time, these micro-misalignments feel cumulative. The self starts to feel diluted, not because anything is wrong, but because expression is drifting away from inner reality. Their resistance is not defiance. It is a quiet loyalty to internal coherence. When interaction supports that alignment, they show up fully. When it doesn't, withdrawal feels more honest than participation. Disliking small talk is rarely about social incompetence, arrogance, or emotional distance. It reflects a system oriented toward depth, coherence, and internal regulation. These individuals are not waiting to talk more. They are waiting to talk truthfully or not at all. When understood this way, their silence stops looking like absence. It becomes a form of discernment. Not every exchange deserves their attention, because attention, for them, is not casual. It is the place where meaning either forms or quietly refuses to.